and I appreciate everything you've done. And I'd like to take a moment here, and as I always do in our town hall meetings, I'd like to take a moment for you guys to have a few moments of silence. Once for our previous veterans that's been in a different situation, and all the veterans that supported them, and those that gave their life to support us and to help us in our country. And it's been very honorable for me to be here to work with you. And also the folks that were killed and wounded in Nevada this morning. We all need to have a moment of silence for them. So I'd ask you all to take your hats off and let's have a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Now, everyone stand, your hats off, we'll do a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Now I'll be introducing to you our Secretary of Transportation, Mr. Tom Smith. Mr. Smith.
Thank you so much. It is truly an honor for me to be with you here today. I salute you all. I have a son that's 33 years old, active military. He's making a career out of it. So my hat's off to you all. And thank you very much for your service. My name is Tom Smith. I'm the Secretary of Transportation and part of Governor Justice's team. My job today is to educate, to tell you about the program, and I'm not going to tell you very much because the governor will want to share a lot more information with you. But I can tell you the three questions that we always get. First is it going to require any new taxes? The answer to that's no. The second question is, what's in it for me? I can tell you, if you look at the map behind me, there's a map with 600 projects on there. Now that's the general obligation bond projects and the other parts of the program. And in total, there's 600 projects. Every county in the state gets projects. Every citizen in the state of West Virginia will benefit from this. And then the final question we get is, what happens if the bond doesn't pass? Well, the governor's program provides for immediate economic recovery and jobs. So we miss that opportunity. The second thing is it's an ideal time for bonding, that the rate of inflation is much greater than the rate of the bonds, and so it is an ideal time for bonding. The third thing I'll say if it doesn't pass is we have to reshuffle our priorities and pull things back. The 600 projects becomes much less because we have to pull those dollars back to fund the very expensive projects like the wheeling bridges on I-70 that are falling apart. And we'll have to take care of those with the money that we have. And then the fourth thing I'll say if the bond doesn't pass, it means that we've denied our citizens the roads, the safe roads that they need and deserve. So I know the governor will want to say more to you, but what I want to do now is introduce some of our private partners, our private industry partners. The first of those, we rely on our consultants and our contractors in West Virginia to get things done. That's the American way. We always have a partnership with the private side. And so representing our consultants and contractors today is Mr. Mike Clowser. So I'll call Mike to come forward and make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I am Mike Clowser with the Contractors Association of West Virginia. I want to tell you how honored I am to be with you today. As Tom said, we appreciate your service. I had the pleasure of working many years with the former mayor of Barboursville, Paul Turner. And I know most of you probably know Paul. Paul was an distinguished veteran who was wounded in combat in Vietnam. And I always had the pleasure of working with him and for him while he was a member of or a president of the Contractors Association of West Virginia. As Tom said, we are an honored partner to work with the governor, to work with the Department of Highways, Secretary Smith with his great staff who are building West Virginia. I'm pleased to be with Michael Hayde, who represents the engineers who designed many of the projects that our members built, the bridges and the secondary roads and the new interstates. Our members, we have about 425 members statewide who are building West Virginia. We think they create the fabric of the quality of life that we have. Our members build water and sewer systems, schools, beautiful facilities such as this, but most importantly, our roads and our bridges. And we have looked at this as a jobs issue because it will create, as the governor will note, thousands upon thousands of jobs. But we don't see it as just jobs within the construction industry. We see it as jobs throughout the entire economy, because when construction workers and engineers are working, then they are going to the grocery store, they are buying automobiles, they are taking vacations, they are going to doctor's office and dentist's office, and they are creating thousands upon thousands of jobs throughout the economy in West Virginia. Many of our members over the last number of years have had to go out of state to every state around us. Some are working in Texas and Oklahoma because of the lack of work that we have had and lack of funding we have had for the West Virginia Division of Highways. But thanks to the governor, thanks to Secretary Smith, that is about to change. And those members that we have that are working in Virginia and Ohio and Pennsylvania and every other state, we are wanting to bring them home. We want to bring them home to West Virginia to have a future here, to have a future for their children, to have a future for their grandchildren. So that's why we are very pleased to join with Governor Justice in his vision to create a better West Virginia, to build a better West Virginia. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, and Tom, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Our next speaker is Mr. Chris Hamilton, representing the Business and Industry Council of West Virginia. So, Chris, come on forward.
I'm actually wearing two hats here today. I am with the Business and Industry Council, also with the West Virginia Coal Association. And when I see a veteran and think of a veteran, I can't help but to think of the common thread between you and our nation's and state's coal miners, because it's what a great team. It's because of all of you, just like the miner, and all you do and all the miner does in terms of bringing us all this low-cost, affordable electricity that contributes to this just this magnificent quality of life that we've all enjoyed as West Virginians and as Americans. And it's because of what you do, it's because of what the miners do, that affords us all the freedoms and liberties that we have as West Virginians and Americans. So kudos. My father was past commander of the Wheeling VFW Club, so I had some of the best steaks in my life on Tuesday nights in that local VFW Club. The Business and Industry Council, if you're not familiar with it, it's an umbrella organization of state trade associations. Most of the major trade associations like the Coal Association, the Oil and Gas Association, the state manufacturers, the retailers, the car dealers are all part of the West Virginia Business and Industry Council. We wholeheartedly support this bond amendment. We've embraced it from the get-go. It strikes right at all of our core values that we're for, that we stand for, that have set the foundation for our organization. It's about economic development. It's about jobs. And it truly has the potential to jumpstart our economy here. We have one of the worst, we have the lowest workforce participation rate you'll find anywhere in the country. This bond amendment, you've heard it, you'll hear it from me and from the governor, there are absolutely zero fees, zero new taxes, zero levy dollars of any kind that will be enacted following the passage of this bill. Those revenue measures to pay for the bonds are in place at perhaps the lowest interest rates that you'll ever find. But this has the potential of bringing some 40,000 plus jobs to the state of West Virginia to jumpstart our economy. Again, I represent the coal industry, and everybody knows of the woes and the problems that we've had over the past 7 or 8 years. We've lost about half of our state's coal miners. We're down to about 12,000 direct miners working in the state of West Virginia. A lot of contractors, a lot of indirect jobs. The point I'm making here Duke University has released a study that shows that there will be almost 48,000 new jobs infused into the state of West Virginia and our economy as a direct result of the passage of this bond. Think about that number. You know, often we hear numbers and it just sort of just whizzes right by us. 4 times the number of mining jobs that we have in this state, we have the potential to bring in here at no additional tax or cost whatsoever. So we're all for it, and we're just so pleased to be able to stand here with the Transportation Secretary and the Governor and others to advocate passage of the Roads Bond Amendment. Early voting, you can still vote tomorrow and Wednesday, then you have to go to the polls on Saturday. Really appreciate the opportunity to spend a few moments with you and appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I think I saw my boss arrive out there, so I'm going to be happy to introduce him. What I will tell you is he is the architect of this historic program. This has a remarkable potential to create jobs for our state, as Chris has said. It's big, $2.6 billion with additional growth and additional dollars that flow from that. It's bold, 48,000 jobs, and importantly, it provides immediate hope and immediate economic recovery for our state. So with that, I would... I think the governor may be delayed for a moment here, and so what I'd like to do now is ask Michael Hayde to come forward and actually speak for the consulting engineers. We heard a bit from our contractors, but as the governor is arriving, we'll have Michael come up and speak very briefly about our consultants here in West Virginia.
No worries. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Hayde. I represent West Virginia Engineers. We've heard a lot about the jobs from our secretary and Mike and Chris, but what I think you guys need to also hear is of all these jobs that you see on this map here, they're all going to be designed by West Virginia engineers who work at mainly West Virginia engineering firms. I represent over almost 1,000 engineers, and my firms are chomping at the bit to hire and attract folks back to West Virginia so they can work on basically designing these projects. And these are good jobs. These are mostly 6-figure income jobs. And that's really the type of jobs we're really looking for. And I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be about the best opportunity for West Virginia that we've seen in probably our lifetimes. And if we're not willing to invest in our West Virginia, why would we expect other people to invest in West Virginia, businesses and other folks? So we need to do this for ourselves. And I think we're going to get this done. I think the messages are getting out there that are clear, and this is exactly what we need to advance the state in the future. So I think I see our governor here, and he's ready to roll. So let's welcome our governor, Mr. Jim Justice.
How are you, sir? Good to see you. All you guys. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for having me. Okay, how you doing? Hey, guys. All right, I'm going to sit here and talk with y'all, okay? And then after I talk a few minutes, I'm going to let you just ask anything you choose to ask. Is this thing kind of echoing? How about now? Is that okay? It's still ringing. I've been ringing lots of times, so. Okay? Is that better? Okay. First of all, when I came here before, I was asked one question, and that was, or one request, Now, before I get to that, I'd like to just say this. Oftentimes, you're told of your unbelievable efforts and everything you've done, your unbelievable sacrifice, your unbelievable service. And then people just go on and do their thing, don't they? And they appreciate, but they don't take time to really follow through with their efforts and show their appreciation. Now, contrary to what anybody may think, you know, my dad used to always say, Dad was an Air Force captain in World War II. And my dad would give lots and lots of gifts through his life. He was a really charitable guy. And everything he did, he was just crazy about the idea that it had to be given anonymously. And the reason he did that, and I said, Dad, we're making more of an effort to hide you giving this than it could possibly be worth. And he used to always say to me, always, he said, Jimmy, he called me Jimmy. He said, Jimmy, if I know, and the good Lord knows, that's all that need to know, you know, and that's all there is to it. Well, you see, you've given and given and given, but with me, I know, I really do know, and I'll promise you, and this is not a politician talking to you because there's not any politician in me. There's a guy that appreciates you, and a guy that genuinely will break my blooming neck to see you're treated and given what you deserve. You have given us everything. You have. Everything. And at the end of the day, a lot of times we don't give back to the magnitude that we should be giving back. Your only ask the last time I was here was to see that the veterans' retirement was exempt from state income tax. I said I would do it that day, and I did, and I sent it up that day. Now, what happened was, at the end of the day, we got the legislature, not me, but the legislature got in a food fight. And during the food fight, nothing got done. And of all things, which is the very thing, I mean, of all things that happen, you know, on the bad side, the thing that probably resonates the most to me was, I think it's despicable to continue this on without giving you the exemption of your retirement. It's nothing in the scope of things. And really, it's meaningful to you. It's meaningful from the standpoint of really, when it boils right down to it, it should make all of us feel better about being good human beings. And so, the very first thing that I'll send up again and work my tail off on is just that. You see, veterans could bring so much to us, it's unreal. And I know you know it, but you know, you could bring your knowledge, your drug-freeness, your training on the most technical equipment in the land. You could give us experience. And many veterans still would like to give us some work hours. You could give us so much, not only if we just made this a safe haven for you to come and a welcoming spot for you to come and say, we want veterans to come to West Virginia, the state that's given more than any other state, per capita wise. So we got to get that done. That's all there is to it. Now, for me, for my dad, it was for my grandfather, for both of my grandfathers. For my grandfather on my mom's side that had 3 sons in World War II all at the same time, working in the coal mines and had a little farm. And they used to say to him, they said, how can you possibly keep all this going? And he used to say, the only way I could do it with those 3 boys gone is to keep myself busy all the time. You know, I mean it when I tell you I love you. And I mean it when I tell you that I'll do everything in my power to help. All you've got to do is just tell me and then let me try to help. And I willingly look for you to tell me. Now, let me just say this. The reason West Virginia is having such a hard go of it, like it or not like it, is we don't have any revenue in the state. And when I came to this party, the reality is real simple. You've got a gigantic hole in the bucket. You don't have anywhere to turn. You've already drained rainy day and taken money away from rainy day to where our bondholders are derating us. You don't have anywhere to turn. I mean, at the end of the day, even if people really wanted to help, a lot of times they can't help, no matter if it's you guys or maybe, or if it's DHHR, or if it's Medicaid, it's our teachers, or it's education, it's our schools, higher ed, whatever it may be. There's no place to turn. Now, the secret to the place to turn, believe it or not, it's these roads. You know, I need every last one of you, and then every single person that you know, if you could possibly pick up the phone and call them and tell them to go vote. And I need them to vote for this more than you'll ever know, because there is nowhere to turn. There's nowhere to turn. At the end of the day, if we miss this, I don't know what we do. And not only do I not know what we do, but all these smart people here, they don't know what to do either. And I would dare say there's nobody in this crowd that knows what to do in West Virginia, because there is nothing to do. The bottom line of this whole thing is you have to create an immediate job or you've got to wait. Well, we've been waiting a long time. And to be perfectly honest, probably all of y'all will die, and me too, and we'll still be waiting. We don't need to be doing that anymore. These roads, not only do they fix our roads, and if we don't do this, we'll have to pay more later on. One of the senators sent me this morning. He said, it's like the roof of your house is leaking, and you got to make a decision. You can go borrow some money and fix the roof, or you can just let it continue to leak. And if it continues to leak, it's going to cause more and more and more damage, and the leak's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to cost more and more and more to fix it. That's right. He's right. Now, let me tell you, at the end of the day, we got to have jobs. We got to have revenue. We got to have our roads fixed or people won't come. If you had people here coming, and you had jobs, and you then had the revenue of the jobs, any request that people would make as far as aiding and helping the veterans would be so easy, it would be unbelievable. A lot of them say they can't do it. I say that's not much of an excuse. I say we have to do it. They say we can't do it. Billy Wayne's heard this till he's blue-green. On and on and on. I am telling you, at the end of the day, now's the time when this state really needs you. And I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you, without any question, no matter what anybody has ever said, the single biggest vote in the history of our state. The reason for that is just real simple. If we vote no, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We need to designate somebody here, Sim or somebody in here, to be the last person here to turn the lights out when it's all over. Because really there is no place to turn. No place to turn. We may hope things get better, but believe me, it's hard to sell potential and hope. Now, this state, Jim Justice, all the people, all of you need you right now. Right now. And they don't need, let me just ask you this, how many of you have voted? Can y'all vote early? Okay. Now let's just think, stay with me just a second. How many of you, plan to vote that haven't voted? That's a bucket full, isn't it? How many of you know somebody out there that you can call and get them and say, we got to have you go vote? Now, let me ask you this question, and you won't hurt my feelings. You won't hurt my feelings at all. How many of you think this is a bad thing? I'm sorry? Okay, you're on the fence. Okay, I'm with you there. And you, sir, you think it's a bad thing?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Now tell me why. Okay, do. I'm gonna write it down, okay? I'm gonna write bad right here. Okay, and I'm gonna write good right here. Jordan. Now tell me why you think it's a bad thing.
Well, it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
I kind of pulled the string on what is wrong with the river and the rail traffic when it comes to trade and manufacturing. We have these resources. We have unbelievable natural resources, and the people in West Virginia, they're great valuable resources in themselves.
Right.
Okay? Another question I have is, on this construction, wagon and
Sure. Lots of them.
Will it be built with union workers? When they take the bids to the jobs, because they will be bidding.
Right.
Okay? Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot there.
No, that's okay. I love
But
you.
here's the thing about it. West Virginia, we're a state of workers, coal miners. We have a bunch of people, and they're hard-working people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And they elected you. We put trust in you to do the right thing. Now, the legislature, that's another thing. I don't have to tell you.
Well,
I don't have to tell you. So,
they probably think I'm another thing,
no,
too.
I'm going to, that's all I have to say. So let somebody else know.
The biggest question, I can't really answer other than to agree. The rail and the river traffic and everything, we need to do better. I agree. Okay? The second thing is union jobs. I would tell you just this. There's 600 projects here. 600 of them. It's just not I-64 out here. 600 of them. And there's $3 billion worth of work. And there's 48,000 jobs at stake here, potential jobs. And an incredible amount of those jobs are going to be union jobs. Will every one of them be a union job? No, there won't be. But will an incredible amount of them be union jobs? Absolutely. Absolutely. Will they all be West Virginia jobs? I would surely hope every last one of them will be a West Virginia. But, okay, go ahead. Y'all can clap. Okay. But here's the thing that will happen for sure. Today, we can't fill all those jobs with West Virginians today. We just can't. It's impossible. But every day that goes by, the percentage of West Virginians will get greater. And that's great. Let's just say today, let's say we could fill 7 out of 10 of them, or 6 out of 10 of them with West Virginians. 4 months from today, we'll be able to fill 8 out of 10 of them. And hopefully, at some point in time, we'll be able to fill 10 out of 10 of them. Now, let me just say this too. You were going to ask something, please.
Well, I'll get back to union. I was worried about right to work being back on.
Right.
Concerned how that will affect. I'm a union. I represent all secretaries across this state with WBSSPA.
Right.
And our concern, of course, is when the miners' jobs went away, they laid off a lot of people.
Right.
Students' education was hurt for the lack of service personnel in the schools. And teachers, we lost them.
Right.
And I'm hoping perhaps this could bring that back.
Right.
But I want to be sure, and though you can't guarantee me, that it will be West Virginia jobs, that we won't have people coming in from other states and putting up these little trailers and working these jobs and disappearing.
Right.
I want something that's going to stay. How long will this take? I mean, the projection of how long these jobs will last, how long will it take you to finish the projects, the 600 project?
Right. I'm going to give you just the best estimates that I can give you on that. I would tell you 3 to 4 years. But the good part about all that is right behind that. And again, it doesn't really matter to me if you like or dislike me or like or dislike the president, President Trump. But here is the fact. He's really going to try to help West Virginia. And I know him really, really well. And I know the family really well, and I'm close with the family. And he's genuinely going to help West Virginia. And not only that, right behind all this, he's going to do an infrastructure program, and it's probably going to take him a couple of years to get that done. And that will roll right in to extend our 3.5 years or whatever to, who knows, 8 years, whatever it may be. Now, wait just one second. Let me finish, and then I'll come up to you, Jason. I guess the real thing that you've got to think here is you got to quit making this too hard, okay? Here's the reality is you can't have it perfect for everything, but it is devastation for everybody without it. You know, I mean, devastation, period. You know, that's all there is to it. Let's just say, let me make it this simple. Let's just say I'm standing out here and I say, tell you what I'm going to do. To your county, I'm going to give $10 million tomorrow, okay? And of that $10 million, there's going to be 750 West Virginians that have a shot to be able to go back to work, and 250 out of state. Do you want it or not want it? Of course you want it, you know? And let's say I stood out there and said, I'm going to give your county $10 million tomorrow, and there's going to be half the workers are going to be union and half the workers are not going to be union. You still got to say, I got to take it, you know? There's no combination of anything here that you don't do the deal. There's none. There's no combination. It's not going to cost you one dime more in taxes. It's absolutely going to get our roads fixed. It's going to create thousands and thousands of jobs. And here's the other thing. If I stand out there and say I'm going to give you $10 million, and it's in $10 million, it's $3 billion. But can you just imagine what the payroll taxes for everybody is going to be? The payroll taxes is going to be $200 million a year, just for the payroll taxes. And we're going to collect them too. We're not going to let an out-of-state company come in here and not pay their taxes. So the bottom line of the whole thing is you can maybe try to come up with something that you could say, well, you know, some of these workers are going to be out of state, or, you know, I don't know, maybe whatever. But no matter what, there is no possibility of anything that you could walk away from the deal. The other thing I'd say is, what if I were just a guy and I was standing out there and said, I'm going to come to Cabell County or Mason County or Putnam County or whatever, and I'm going to give you $10 million and we're going to fix that road right out there. Well, you'd do anything for me to come, anything. You'd buy me a donut shop for me to come. But I'm standing out there in the street saying, I got $3 billion. I got 48,000 jobs. I've got everything under the sun. And I'm willing to come to West Virginia, and it's not going to cost you one dime. Not one dime. Anybody that would say you're going to raise the taxes is garbage. Yes, sir. And I got to come back to you over here, sir, in just a second. Wait just a second. Wait just a second. Yes, sir.
What I was going to ask you about, see, I'm in with the small trucking company, trying to run a small trucking company, and I'm paying fuel tax at the pump and fuel tax every other month, and road taxes and all that. Where's all that money going to?
It all goes to fund the roads. Everything you're paying already is in that right there. It all of those, I mean, think of it this way. You, what's your name, sir?
Mike Dawson.
Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. You call me Jim, I'm gonna call you Mike.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, I gotta sell you a bond. I gotta have the funding in place or you won't buy it. If you don't buy it, I can't do this. It's not, I can't tax you anymore. I can't do that. I gotta have the funding in place for you to buy the bond. That's why you can forget this worry about this venom where somebody tries to get their name in the newspaper or on TV and scares you with raising your taxes. Can't do it. Can't do it. Anything you're already paying, we're going to put it in those buckets, and constitutionally, it's got to go all to the roads. We can't spend it on anything else.
And one more thing I'd like to say. Everywhere I go, you know, I see road construction and stuff, but they mostly got illegals out there working. Is that going to be the same thing here?
Well, I can't honestly say about the illegals because I don't know. But here's what I would say. I would say that we as a state have to police that and do a great job at that. Okay? And the other thing, we as a state need to promote our workers, right? Okay. Why can't we bring them home? They want to come home. They want to come back to West Virginia. They can pass a drug test, they're craftsmen, they know what they're doing. Let's bring them home. Now somebody right here was going to ask something. You were, sir, I think.
I was just going to say that I'd like to volunteer to be the last man to turn out the lights.
Well, God bless you. Yes, sir, you back there. You, sir, with the glasses on your head.
I'll tell you, I don't think it's any good to come, to be back if you don't get some steel plants in here. If you don't get them, when I was growing up, it was steel plants all over Huntington.
Right.
And now there ain't over one or two that's in Huntington as I know of.
Right.
That's American, at number 24th Street, and one down here off of 16th Street. That's the only two big plants that I know of that's around here. When the steel plants was in, you had jobs everywhere.
Right.
I know when I come back out of service, I couldn't get no jobs. I worked at Armstrong's down here for a while, and it's out business. I worked up there at this corner steel up there a while, and it's practically out business. And all these steel plants in Huntington and around in here is the only place you can go to is Charleston and back up, on back out of the way, you can get jobs at steel plants and stuff. Around here, it ain't nothing. Only thing it is a restaurant or a drive-through restaurant or something like that. It ain't many restaurants. It's everything in Huntington is really cut down to nothing. And I don't know if people don't start getting steel plants in here and putting people to good jobs, I don't know what to say, but it's going to be bad. It's going down every day if you get out here and look around. Every day it's going down. Steel plants is going down. Down there in Kentucky, that was a big steel plant, and it's down to nothing. And it's just so many plants.
Let me comment on what he's saying. Pam, you got to bring me my phone real quick. I want to show you this, you know. Basically what he's saying is, we got to get good jobs back in West Virginia, good paying jobs. While she's bringing my phone, let me just ask you just this. Don't you feel the sun shining out there? Don't you feel like things are, we're right on the edge of changing in West Virginia? Don't you feel a little bit better or something in you saying there's a little bit of hope and we're turning the right way? If you don't feel that, then you're not seeing what I'm seeing. You know, last week we had Toyota say they're going to expand. We had Hino Motors say they're going to expand. The coal business is better. It's not just going great guns, but it's better. We're about to do something here on roads that's going to blow the blooming doors off. Now, and let me just show you this. Now, this is how high-tech I am. I still got a flip phone. But I want to read you this really quick, and I want to just show you that I'm telling you the gospel truth. The Secretary of Energy, and this addresses your question. The Secretary of Energy is Rick Perry. The other morning at 5:30 in the morning, he called, and he text behind that and all that kind of stuff. This is the Secretary of Energy in the whole country. And he's talking about a gigantic natural gas hub in the central to northern, or maybe not far from here too. There's another site that's not far from here. But he goes on saying, you know, about a shell cracker and all kinds of potential PTT, global chemical cracker, all this stuff. He goes on to say, the Institute Director, Brian Anderson, said drillers in the area are producing 460,000 barrels of ethane, nearly 3 times the expected amount, blah, blah, blah. And then he says the ethane hub could bring $38 billion to West Virginia and create 100,000 permanent jobs. This is Secretary of Energy. This is not a nobody. This is Secretary of Energy. I am telling you, we're right on the verge of having real things happen within our state. Real things happen. Yes, sir.
I have a question, sir. My mother taught school for 42 years. Okay? Would you agree or not that education really is a key for the simple reason that business and industry, it takes a workforce to run a business and industry?
Here's what I'd say. I'm going to write it right here. Y'all didn't give me a chance to write the good and the bad. I'm going to write here real big, okay? That's exactly how I feel. Education ought to be the centerpiece of everything we have. Every single thing we have. Yes, sir.
Would education be the number one aspect to get this all going? What kind of educational benefits or guarantees do these kids have to where they don't have to pay their student loans back or get better grants for their education?
Boy, now that one is way, way, way past my pay grade there. You know, and let me say this, that it's a complicated question, and we've got all kinds of people within the administration that can answer the question better than I. And so I hear you, and it's a good question, but I'm going to have to pass for right now. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my question was about education too, because I think that's going to be what's going to bring the jobs back. First of all, you have people that can fill those positions. because the skilled and the technical labels are the most highest paying jobs anyway.
Right.
And those are the ones we need to come back, but we gotta have workers to fill those positions. And about the taxes, the state tax, and are we talking about the state tax on disability payments for veterans or the retirement payments?
Dennis, can you help me with that?
I certainly will try. Are you asking about the bill that you referred to earlier?
Yeah, but I thought it was referring to retirement pensions, but also talking about the disability payment, veterans on
Okay.
disability.
Now, this is strictly veterans that have retired from the military.
Right.
And they receive a pension.
Right.
And that's what we're identifying at the present time. Now, in the future, I'll just say this, that's something that the veterans feel strong enough now, and that's something we may very well come to you and talk to you about, or something like that. This particular bill here that the government referred to, this is one that the veterans of West Virginia said they wanted. And the governor endorsed that, he's put that bill forward. But it's only for those veterans who are 100% retired from the military at this time. But that is an opportunity we can look at. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're looking at education as being the cure-all for everything, but here's the problem. You can educate them all you want. You gotta keep them here. You gotta have jobs for them to stay here. They don't wanna stay here. They say, the jobs are out there. They're big money jobs. Why should I stay here in this podunk area when I can go out there and get a better job?
Exactly right. Exactly right. Been doing it forever.
You gotta bring it all here.
That's
You gotta
exactly
bring
right.
tech jobs. You gotta bring the
You gotta get the jobs here to curb the drug situation right off the get-go. You gotta give hope. The way you say it, sir. Yes, sir.
I wondered if you would do it for government, is to bring up circumstances where we have missed opportunities in the past, and the end result of it was not taking advantage of those opportunities.
The question
The reason I'm asking you that is that
You think they're gonna blackball me if I get up and go outside?
you have to have a vision. And just reflect on some of the opportunities that West Virginia had in the past, to have that vision to take it to the next level, and the end result of not taking the opportunity.
Tim's asking just this. He's saying, you know, what did we miss in the past when we had opportunities and we didn't do it, and we ended up standing there holding the short end of the stick? It's just, it's everything, guys. It's blooming everything. Think about this just real quick. I've said it till I'm blue, flat, green. You're within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of this whole country. That's the market. That's the market. 2/3 of the people are within a rock's throw of us. You have 4 of the most beautiful seasons on the planet. You have natural resources out to blooming yin-yang. Coal and oil and gas and timber and water. Unbelievable natural resources. And great people. Great family people. Great faith-based people. Great craftsmen. And literally, absolutely, no matter what anybody says, we as a state of politicians have continued to pitch dead last. Dead last. Dead last. Now, you don't have a politician here. I'm just telling you, at the end of the day, this is the first step of what we got to do. And if we don't do this, this is like you standing there with a tennis racket, and in comes a volleyball or a watermelon or whatever you mean, and you whip it. You can't miss this opportunity. Yes, sir.
When's the last time you looked at a map, road map of the state?
Yesterday.
Yesterday? Did you look at another state like Pennsylvania and see how many paved roads there are to get from one place to the next? You don't have to travel dirt roads.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. If you want to Toyota or somebody to move in, they have to have a way, an avenue to get supplies.
No question.
They can't have
You can't have Route 35 sitting down there, 2-lane and all that. You can't do that.
They put those vehicles on tractor trailers and haul them somewhere.
It's all right. It's all
They
right.
need roads.
That's right.
And somehow West Virginia fell back. All the other states, I know Pennsylvania years ago had the same situation. What about the railroad and what about the waterways? They had those, but still, they were the first state to put in the turnpike. Why? You need roads.
Right. Got you right.
But with roads, all these other things will come in place, will fall in. Oh,
Yes, sir.
I used to drive a tractor trailer, but I used to deliver here in West Virginia. I hauled from Pennsylvania to Ohio. Now, Pennsylvania's roads, some of them are made for the old coal trucks. They're not wide. You make a turn, you're on the other side of the road.
Right.
And there's a lot of roads, we got the same roads over here, but they kind of, Pennsylvania is bad, but this state is bad too. I used to have to go out. If you get on the back road, you can't turn around, you gotta ride it out.
What if any new implementations are being put in place to secure the schools or kids not ready?
He asked what things are being put in place to secure good schools and schools for our kids and grandkids. Let me just say this to you, and I, you know, there is every reason in the world to have a road. Every reason. First of all, we don't tear vehicles up, all the jobs, all the money, everything. Employment and everything else. But let me tell you, if there was only one thing, we all need to vote for this. If there was only one thing, and that is school buses got to get on the road tomorrow. A school bus loaded with our kids has got to get on the road tomorrow. And when are we going to wake up to the next disaster that the wheel dropped off the pavement, the bus flipped over and rolled down the mountain, and we've lost a bunch of the most sacred, our kids. You know, if there is no other reason, we've got to vote for this for the safety of our kids. And as far as, let me just tell you this. You know, I had a question the other day, and the question was, you know, basically, I don't like all those orange barrels out there because, you know, that slows me down. And then the question follow-up was, what are you going to do really to ensure that my kids are going to have a place to stay in West Virginia? And my answer was just real simple. And it's just this simple. Either we don't do this, those kids are probably not going to end up in West Virginia because we won't have the jobs and we won't have the opportunity. Yes, sir. And then I'm going to have to, well, no, I can go with you for about another 10 minutes.
Like you say about the transportation for the schools and stuff, I was watching a story that they had just recently here in one of our neighboring counties about some of the personnel not watching the school buses and stuff and flying around them and running over the kids as they're going to school or going home from school when it's getting kind of dark outside, or if there's a storm and the kids got to come across the street or go back across the street. They were showing the story about getting those spotlights that hook to the front end of the bus that illuminates the road, where they can see the kids coming back and forth across from the bus.
Well, let me just say this real quick, really quick. I drove in Wyoming County from Beckley to Jesse, where my grandparents are buried. And remember, my grandparents on my mom's side never had indoor plumbing. So I'm not sitting up here as some rich guy that, you know, that started with a silver spoon in my mouth. You know, I'm telling you, I've been there and I fixed something with 18 rolls of duct tape a lot of times. You know, but let me tell you, that road, and there's hundreds of these, but that road, literally, where school buses are traveling every day, today, that road, not only is the shoulder washed away in a slip, but the edge of the asphalt is gone too. And I mean, it's gone straight down 40 feet. And if you just happen to just take your eye off the road and one wheel drop off, it'd take us a week to find you. We got to fix our roads. I mean, you got to fix the roads. That's all there is to it. So, yes, ma'am.
First off, I want to thank you for making
Bless
yourself
your heart.
so available.
Right.
I appreciate it. And I came here with the bird for a second.
Right. Okay.
A personal one about roads.
Okay.
Because I live on a little one-lane, blacktop, mile-long road. It's a
Right.
dead end. I have a farm.
Bless you.
And in the past couple of weeks, the DOT came out and they put some black stuff on my blacktop road. And then put some gravel on it, and I've been eating dust forever. I'm just mad as ready to move. I'm just mad. I lived there 40 years, raised my children there. Have beautiful, best ground over there, which they're ready to drive, and I'm going to leave them. My concern when I came here was, if you can't take care of little one little home blacktop road, you know what I'm saying? That was a bad decision on somebody's part to take away my blacktop. Now, if it'd been a dirt road we'd done that, I'd have been, woo, I'm going to get my cotton. But I had blacktop.
Right.
And now I can show you pictures living in this dust bowl for it. And then I complained enough, Mr. Evans, they came out and put this black seed. And I call it high crust blacktop. Because when you're in the road, your wheels go over it, the rock just turns over and it goes in. So I was like, I don't know if I said it. I just don't know because it was a bad decision. And here's this young man, he seems very articulate and I'm sure he's very bright, but I'm sure some engineer somewhere will have to do that. But it wasn't.
Well, let me tell you this. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
I just worry a little bit.
Well,
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of promises you're making. I think you're a man of your word. Don't get me wrong. I voted for you. I voted for Donald Trump. When you switched over, I was like, whoa, I can't do that. But then I thought, it don't matter. It don't matter. He loves West Virginia as much as I do. It don't matter if you're a Republican. It don't matter. But I just want to know if that's going to happen, that smart people will take care of this money and spend it correctly. And without this, all the things they're wanting with buying these lights for school buses, I know, I've worked for Calhoun County Schools for 32 years. It takes money to do that. It takes money to put those big arms on those buses to keep cars from going around. It takes money. And this revenue could do that. It could happen. We could make it get raises and bring our teachers up and our service personnel. I mean, my faith is shaking just a little when I saw my road.
Well, let me say this real quick, okay? There's people out there, and I'm sure that you're not one of these, but there's people out there that believe that we ought to be able to eliminate every single wasteful thing we do within government. And you're not going to hit it 100 out of 100. And if there's a mistake done on your road, right there's the guy. Right there is the guy to straighten it up. Okay, now he's the guy. Okay, now, and he's a superstar, and he'll follow up with you and fix it. Okay. Okay, now just listen to me. This, to me, this isn't about fixing your road because we got lots of situations. I know you're talking about lots and lots of situations, not just your road. Okay, but I keep going back to the same thing. We're going to make mistakes, and we're going to try to fix some mistakes when we make a mistake. Gosh, I make so many mistakes, it's unbelievable. The reason, and I want to say this too, the reason that I changed parties was because I truly tried with all in me. And it's like your family. You got your family around you, and you try with all in me, and you finally got it done. And you turn around And you're charging up the hill like many of y'all have done, and your family has left you. And all of a sudden, everything falls to pieces. And helping the vets went out the window. And helping the teachers went out the window. And giving money giving a rebate check to the poorest people went out the window. And on and on and on and on and on. Well, I can't run that same play. And I would tell every single one of you exactly this. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or independent. We better first and foremost be West Virginians. And if you have such an alliance with a party that's over the value of being a good West Virginian, then you're thinking wrong. That's all there is to it. You see, we've been last too long, and we better all come together as West Virginians. And all I'm trying to do is get something done. That's all I'm trying to do. At the end of the day, I hate to say it like this, but I don't need to be here for me. I got enough to do. I don't need to be here for me. I want goodness for you. And that's the only reason on the planet that I'm here. That's it. You can't do anything that's going to help me. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, I've got all the pats on the backs I need, and I got enough money to do whatever I want to do. Why then am I here? Because I love you, and I do, and I want goodness for you, and I want goodness for this state, and I want to be known for that I did something to really help our state and really help you. Now, the last of my last is just this. Don't get clouded about a road that was fixed wrong, or don't get clouded about anything. At the end of the day, the overall picture is any form of the deal is a whole lot better than what we got.
That was the reason, Governor, I asked the question. Some opportunities that West Virginia had in the past that they didn't take advantage of, and they came results. So I understand what you're saying. This is a perfect thing as far as me. I'm indigenous to this area, born and raised. And I've seen opportunities that we had in the past that we didn't take advantage of. And the result of it is what we are.
That's what we got today. All right, now I've got to go. 6 o'clock, and I'm sorry, I've got another speaking engagement at 6:30 up the road here.
There's one question, Governor.
All right, go. Ask it quick.
As a form of raising revenue, recycling is an industry in itself. Okay?
That would help.
Recycling.
It's a good idea.